Yo, what's up, my biscuits?
What's up, weirdos?
Wait.
Welcome back, guys.
I'm sorry. I warned you.
Right on the mic.
I don't know. I
We've
feel
listened to you guys' comments. Looks at the
nothing.
two comments, and one is, you guys look thick. That's an actual comment.
Yeah, guys, we read your comments. We read.
We can read. Kinda.
Welcome back, guys, to the Knights of Argos. My name is Justin.
Brandon.
Lee.
Today, we are going to be going over Justin's commander deck for Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. And then afterwards, Lee and I will talk about the cards that we use to combat it.
And with that, we'll let Justin take it away.
Hey guys, so today we're going to do another commander video. And this particular commander that I'm going to be talking about today is named Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. So a little bit about her, what she does. So first off, she costs 1 black, 1 white, and 5 generic mana. And her abilities are Vigilance and Protection from Creatures. And her second ability, which I think is pretty awesome, is whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature. Put a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. With that alone, she is a really good commander. High cost, but when she's brought out, she is really good. So, how I came to this particular deck is actually after I got Prossh, I went to get a second commander, which was a pre-made deck, which was called Call the Spirits. And I think this deck was brought out in 2015. So, and the original commander was Daxos the Return. But I really quite didn't like the mechanics of Daxos. So I was looking through the deck, and then I ended up seeing Teysa. So I made her into my commander, and I think it came out pretty good. But I started making modifications, of course. So what I ended up doing was making Teysa and the deck a little bit more defensive. And defensive meaning that if it'll cost more to hit me, if they attack me, it comes at a cost. And then a little bit of mana ramp. And also, I kind of focus a little bit on Teysa, and also I focus on the deck in total, because with Teysa costing so much, I needed my 99 to be strong without her if necessary, and I think it's actually pretty good. So let me go into detail on the categories that I made that kind of explain how I modified this deck. In the categories, I have broken it down into 6 sections that showcase the power of this deck, which are defense, control, mana ramp, enchantments, instants, and creatures. So going into the first category, which is defense, I divided this category into 2 sections. The first section focuses on making the opponent pay more mana for certain spells, or paying to be able to attack me. The cards that help me achieve this particular effect is Aura of Silence and Ghostly Prison. Also, I know that I have Authority of the Councils in this section, and it does not make any opponents pay any mana, but it does make them tap their creatures when it enters the battlefield, and I gain 1 life for each of those creatures, which I think is making them pay me life. So I think it's a pretty good deal. Now on to the second section, which focuses on having that safety blanket, if you want to say that, to where it really makes the opponent think twice on either attacking me, destroying a permanent of mine, and just simply tapping a creature. So, if my opponent is attacking me and I have several creatures on the battlefield, I can use Brave the Sands to have them block one additional creature and have Vigilance, which is really good to give you kind of a step up on either aggro or defense, depending on how you want to play it. For my non-creature permanents, I use Karmic Justice to protect them from my opponents. Now, if they destroy a non-creature permanent using a spell or an ability, I can target a permanent that they control and destroy it. This kind of gives me insurance to safely play my enchantments and artifacts so that I can build that defense. The last card is very unique, which is Static Orb. With this card, players can not untap more than 2 permanents during their untap steps. Now, you're probably thinking why I would have this card in my deck. This is kind of situational to where if I have Teysa and Brave the Sands out in the battlefield, and I can see that my opponent's fully tapped out, during my turn, I can play Static Orb, and then it kind of brings the power to me because my opponent is fully tapped out, my creatures have Vigilance, and Teysa can always just go in for a big punch unless he has something in his hand, but more than likely, most of his land, hopefully, is all tapped out and his creatures are the only thing that are between me and him. Now, going into control category, if my opponents have certain creatures that deal super big damage, and it's a possibility that they're going to attack me, I have certain cards like Vow of Malice and Vow of Duty, which protect me from those creatures because I enchant those creatures and it prevents them from attacking me. But it also gives them bonuses to power and defense and other abilities, which kind of gives them incentive to attack other players, which is good for me. Also, Curse of Shallow Graves. This is an awesome card because what this card does is when you enchant another player, whoever attacks that particular player gets a 2/2 black zombie creature. So this is kind of going into the politicals of Commander, which I really like. Also, I have 1000 Lashes and Cage of Hands to help me control problematic characters that the opponents bring out, which is probably the commanders itself. So in 1000 Lashes, basically it targets a creature, enchanted creature cannot attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. And here's the real good the ability right here. At the beginning of the upkeep of enchanted creature's controller, that player loses 1 life. So you get 2 good things right there. You're able to control, kind of regulate that creature, and ping the opponent's life total for 1. So that's a pretty good combo right there. Now, for Cage of Hands, almost similar to 1000 Lashes, the enchanted creature cannot attack or block. But here's the real one. If you pay 1 generic and 1 white, you can return Cage of Hands to its owner's hand. So if the opponent is going to try to get that enchantment off that creature, you have the ability to return it to your hand so you can keep on using it. That's a real good ability and card right there. So let me talk about mana ramp now. With Teysa, she really doesn't depend much on mana ramp due to the fact that she only has 2 colors, which is white and black. It's not like other commanders where they have 3 to 4 colors where you really need the mana ramp. But I still like to have that option And those cards that I show right here give me those options, which is Burnished Heart, Liliana of the Dark Realms, and Thawing Glaciers. Let me talk about my main mana ramp card, which is Thawing Glaciers. This card is ridiculous. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So it comes into play tap. You pay 1, you tap it. Search your library for a basic land and put it into play, tap. This does not count towards your 1 land per turn limit. Shuffle your library afterwards. At the end of the turn, return Thawing Glaciers to your hand, to the owner's hand. This is ridiculous because basically it guarantees you a land every other turn. So you're not going to get mana stumped or anything. And this is an awesome card for any deck, whether it be white, black, red, green, or blue. This is an awesome card. Now we are going into the enchantment category. This is probably the biggest category since this deck was originally an enchantment deck. This is useful for Teysa because by using all these enchantments, I can either buffer or maintain control of the other players, which is really good. As you can see the enchantments on the screen, I have Celestial Mantle, Duelist Heritage, and True Conviction. These particular enchantments are mostly for buffs and targeting certain creatures that I want to buff up, which is going to pretty much be my commander Teysa, because she has that ability to go around creatures. Creatures can't touch her, so I'm able to go around them and hit the opponent. Why not get some special abilities for that? For example, if I had Teysa out in the battlefield and then I play Celestial Mantle, what will happen is I will have a 7/7 commander, and anytime that she does combat damage to a player, I will double my life total. So I will have a good amount of life and a good amount of commander damage to where it will increase until it hits 21. And then what I can also do is give a double strike to her with either Duelist Heritage or True Conviction. Now, here are some enchantments that I like to use to remove non-land permanents or have a specific trigger that goes off when an enchantment that I control enters the battlefield. For removing non-land permanents, I have Banishing Light and Grasp of Fate. Now, these two cards are very similar. The only difference is Grasp of Fate. For each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls. So that's very good if you're in a big group. And also, for Daxel's Torment, I like to have that before I play these cards. So if I put Daxel's Torment on the field and then play these cards, I'm able to have a 5/5 demon flying with haste. So that gives me a little bit aggro while having control. So that's a pretty good plan right there. So now on to the final enchantments that I have in this deck, which I think are very important for me, which are Sanguine Bond, Exquisite Blood, and Tainted Remedy. Now, those who already know that Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood pretty much make an infinite combo, and this is super good. But by themselves, they're still good. Because, of course, Sanguine Bond, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses life. And Exquisite Blood, whenever opponent loses life, you gain that much life. So it kind of evens out. So by themselves, they're still a good card. Now, for Tainted Remedy, if an opponent would gain life, that player would lose that much life instead. So if you have players that love to gain life, this kind of controls them and kind of like puts them in place. So this is a real good card right here. Now on to the instant spell category. In this particular category, I just try to focus on target creatures or permanents by either destroying them or exiling them. And the reason why I do this is because if I can control my opponent's battlefield, I pretty much have control. So what cards I have is Hero's Downfall, Mortify, and Utter End. And usually these cards that I have are low cost so that I can just instantly play it anytime that I want. Now here's another instant spell that I really like, which is called Beacon of Immortality. Now what this instant does, it doubles target player's life total. Shuffle Beacon of Immortality into its owner's library. Sounds pretty simple, and it's pretty expensive for 1 white and 5 generic. But the thing is, it doubles a target player's life total at an instant. So it's really good if you're in the pinch on life total. But here's a real reason why I really like it. Now you remember the enchantment Tainted Remedy. Now if you have Tainted Remedy out in the battlefield and then you play Beacon of Immortality, you can target any of your opponents and basically insta-kill them, because since the target is gaining life, instead he will lose that much life instead. So this is a deadly combo right here. Now for our final category, which is creatures. As I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, Teysa is a very good commander, but she is very high on cost. So I need some creatures that kind of either buy me time to bring out Teysa, or I can build these creatures up so that I can take over the battlefield. So some of these creatures are Serra Ascendant, which has lifelink, and as long as you have 30 or more life, Serra Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. Well, for commander, you already start at 40. This is a very good card, especially in round 1. So I can't say enough with that. So Monk Idealist. When Monk Idealist enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. This is very beneficial because let's say I have a enchantment that I really wanted on the field, and my target and my opponent is not about that and destroys that enchantment. I can use this card to bring back to kind of give me a second chance on that enchantment. So this is a really good card. And then final, War Priest of Thune. When War Priest of Thune enters the battlefield, you may destroy target enchantment. This is a very good card because it's a 2/2 for cost of 2, and you're able to destroy an enchantment. So I think that's a good deal. Let me show you 2 more creatures that I think are beneficial to this deck. The first one is Baston Protector. So commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have indestructible. That is super good when Teysa comes out to play. And with the protection of creatures and then indestructible, it becomes a very big threat, which I like. And then the next one, Thief of Blood. This is flying. As Thief of Blood enters the battlefield, remove all counters from all permanents. Thief of Blood enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each counter removed this way. This can get very ludicrous, because if you have, let's say you're in a 5 EDH pod, right? And let's say 3 of the opponents have a commander in there, about 3-4 counters each. And when this comes to play, it takes all the counters. So easily it can get up to 10-10 or something like that. And this can get crazy and destroy those planeswalkers while we're at it too. So this is a crazy card, and kind of one of those cards where you have to be prepared to kind of plan it out and then use it. But it's a very good card. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit on how to modify or add to a commander deck similar to Teysa or Teysa herself. So let's go back to Brandon and Lee on how they deal with Teysa Envoy of Ghosts.
So the way that Justin likes to run his Teysa deck is very, very defensive. He likes to put up all of these defenses and walls so that no one can attack him, and even if they are able to, there's going to be consequences like paying mana or sacrificing creatures. However, because Teysa is such a high cost commander, there's lots of time for other players to build up while Justin is building up his deck. I like to be running lots of green and red in my decks, if you guys have seen before, so they're very good colors to ramp up and do some stuff really, really fast. A lot of his defenses come from the enchantments that he likes to play. So one of the first things I like to do, because I'm running green, is getting rid of some enchantments. My favorite is Thrashing Brontodon, because I can use it as a blocker if someone else has something, but also if I need to get rid of it to get rid of those big enchantments, I can do that. As well, I like Mystic Repeal, just because sometimes Justin can be going through his graveyard for an enchantment, and that will put it into the deck so he can't get it. With Tessa's ability to sacrifice creatures or destroy creatures when she is attacked, or Justin is attacked, I've learned that me running token decks is a little bit of an advantage because even if I deal damage with a token, I'm going to be creating more, so I still have that backup and that wall on my end. First, I like to run Giant Adafage because it's such a big thing, and when I attack, I get another token. So even with the trample getting through, I'll still have the other token. As well, I like to run Feldon, just in case he does destroy something or someone else destroys something in my graveyard that I can just pull back and use for that turn. Last, I use Dragon Lair Spider because Justin's going to be running lots of spells, playing lots of enchantments, and other people are going to be playing spells as well, so that'll just help build up the tokens on my side. Lastly, I like to run lots of protection for my creatures and permanents because it's just so much easier to put a blanket over everything else than just trying to keep one thing alive. So I like running Rootborn Defenses because that, one, helps me populate and get some extra tokens, but also will stop them from being destroyed if they do combat damage or another effect. As well, I run Privileged Position because it just helps cover everything. Land destruction I don't have to worry about, and it's just a good blanket to keep me on the battlefield in case anything happens.
Just as Brandon was saying, Teysa has a lot of enchantments to protect yourself and also go on the offensive. So I like to use Mortify, Return to Dust, and Merciless Eviction. Merciless Eviction is more of like a last resort, kind of just blow everything to like smithereens. And I like to use Bloodbaron as more as a defensive creature against Teysa because Teysa is a black and white deck. So Bloodbaron has protection against white and black. Also, Malakir Blood Witch. She has protection against white. So those are really good to have on the field right away. And then to go on the offensive, I like to use Patron of the Vein. I can go ahead and destroy one of Justin's creatures while amplifying my own creatures as well with the +1/+1 counters and all. And then I like to use Vein Drinker as well. With Vein Drinker, I can go ahead and destroy one of Justin's creatures while amplifying my own Vein Drinker as well. The next one will be Captivating Vampire, which I can go ahead and use one of Justin's creatures or even Commander against him and go ahead and amplify my creatures as well. So all these are just amplifying, taking away Justin's and amplifying myself at the same time. And one of the other ones as well as that I've mentioned before is Dark Imposter. I can go ahead and exile creatures. I can go ahead and exile Justin's Commander if it's getting a little bit too tedious to deal with. And the other one is Ruin Sage. So at the beginning of each upkeep, everybody has to sacrifice a creature. So I can go ahead and start picking off Justin's board while helping myself and building myself up as well.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit about Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts, if you want to run it as a commander or going against it.
Like and subscribe to become a Knight of Argos, and let us know in the comments below if you have any good cards to go up against Teysa.
Well, that's it for Adventures in Planeswalkers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Turn it off.